If you have been utilizing your astrology to make excuses and justify behaviors that have become lifelong habits, then today I provide an opportunity for you to look at your astrology as a way to make progress. Greetings and welcome back to my channel. My name is Stacy Patrice, and I am talking about one of my favorite subjects, astrology, and why it is important for us to embrace our astral identity. As you may imagine, in the world that we currently live in, there's a lot of physicality that's promoted to us. If we were to not be paying attention, we would believe that everything that surrounds us in the physical is precisely what is, right? And what we see, what we sense, what we feel, our physical bodies, the way we look, these are all the primary goals in life is to fix these, make these look better, bigger, change and enhance the way that beauty and all of that is engaged in our environments. And the thing is that that's not absolutely untrue. There is an element of sacredness to beauty making and to understanding our environments as something that lends us ease and beauty. It's very important. Our environments are very important. Our physical temples are very important. But one thing that is disturbing about the promotion of that is that it also comes with no depth in most instances. It is just the surface. It is just, here we are, this is what it is. And then if we are a little stealthy in making excuses, we might be able to point to why. And this is why, but this is why I'm like this, but this is why I'm like this. And there's no remedy in that. There's no advancement, progress in that. We're just simply looking at what is and calling what is an art form. And I want you to know that the real art form is the process that creates what is. Whatever was going on that made this idea, this vision, this process come into creation is what there is to look at. This is the mending and making of art. This is the process that leads to the final product. This is definitely what is happening in our subconscious that one day manifests. And it's important to understand that whether you are looking at yourself from an identity that is purely physical, or whether you are someone who also looks back to ancestral identity, astral identity, all these other identities that are layered in our composition of who we are and how we step out, then you will also notice that it is more important to look back at what is pushing this identity that you actually are to be here and what is there to do now. And these are not easy questions for most people. Most people don't want to think about consciousness in this way. They want to think about, well, I have the consciousness to manipulate the environment and I am in and understand what there is to do in this environment. And, again, manipulation is very in vogue and popular these days with people. It's not considered manipulation, it's considered manifesting, or it's not considered manipulation. It's just simply using your advantage, being smart, having strategy. And all of these things are forms of manipulation. But until you realize that there is something operating that doesn't need your hands, until you are in line with the fact that who you are and who you came here to be doesn't need manipulating in that way. It doesn't need you to make it more of a farce. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't need you to be more physical than the physical. Then this is what we end up doing. This is what we end up falling into as a habit and as a pattern in our lives. And the way that this relates to astrology is that astrology helps you to reveal the subconscious. It helps to bring your patterns that you're not aware of into focus. The things that you have blinders on, astrology will reveal, which is why a lot of people don't want to see it. They avoid it, or they stick to just the surface aspect of it. They stick to the part that says, well, I am this, I am that, or this is, my sun sign, and that's all you need to know. And I'm just my sun sign. When the truth is, we are every sign. And in addition to that, we are a moving tapestry of influences as well as characteristics, as well as karmas. And all of that together is rendering our environment. Because if you think what you're looking at is the same as what someone else is looking at, even if you're looking in the same direction, then you don't understand how much your perspective comes into play when you are looking at engaging anything. When you are understanding the world that you look at from the inside out, you are essentially saying the way that I understand this is, the way that I see this is, even if there's no voice to this happening, this is what's happening inside. That's interesting. Well, It doesn't look like something I understand. Maybe I don't understand it. Or it looks just like something I already understand. Maybe that's what it is. Or I don't know what it is, and I'm open to it revealing itself to me what it is. And that last one is the one that most people don't give space for in their lives. They have to immediately align an occurrence, a happening to something they already know desperately and well in order to say that something matters in their life. And I think that our society could use a lot more curiosity as it relates to, I want to further get into what I'm looking at because it's intriguing to me and find out what that's about. I think we could look more at ourselves in this way. Therapy is a place, it is a stop on your tour and your guide, back to yourself. But it is not the end all be all. Your therapist doesn't actually do anything for you. So you have to be able to look at who you are and look at yourself in order to know what that rendering is speaking and why it is coloring life in the way that it is. Sometimes it's a blind spot, it's information we don't know. Other times it is memory that we did not physically live. And as that memory is coming forward, we're starting to put together some things and we might feel a little different because we realize we didn't physically learn this from anybody. It wasn't physically told to us from anybody. We didn't physically see it anywhere. So, how is this world forming off of things that are not physical? And I'm not saying this to assume that any of you watching are people that have it all figured out or people who don't have any of it figured out. I'm speaking in multiple levels because I realize we're at multiple spaces on our journey. So to just say a blanket statement to everyone is kind of not acknowledging that we all go through these turns and these cycles, and then sometimes they repeat and come back around, and we have a different level of awareness when it does. This is the nature of astrology, and this is the nature of your astral identity. Who you are in the star context of things and who you were designed to come here to be is something to focus on. And a lot of people make justifications and excuses about who they are because they're actually not those things that they say they are, or they don't have the understanding of the things that they say they are. So if I introduce myself to you and I tell you my sun, moon, and rising, you would imagine that I understand the whole entire environment around that. But what I have learned is that people will say that because they read it on their chart. They went online, did an online generated chart. They got their answers, as many of us have done, and they say, this is my sun, moon, and rising. But what does that mean in the larger context of life? What does that mean in the larger context of your understanding? And chances are, if you only know your sun, moon, and rising, then the rest of the context is somewhat blurred. But we're here for clear vision. We're here to get clear. Leave the blur in the background. So we are here to get clear. We are here to be full on in the highest level of quality and definition possible so that we can start to understand the real dynamics of what's at play. If I think about just walking around in a limited identity of who I am, I may not have the confidence to say the things that I say, to feel the things that I say, or not care at all what other people feel about what I am saying. I want there to be clarity that when I step forth, I have the intention and the intensity to say, this is who I am. And whether you like it, love it, can pick it apart, put it back together, these are all gifts in different forms. These are all perspectives in different glasses. Like, I don't need to have the vision someone else has about me if I have my own self concept solid. And this is why astrology is beautiful because it will take so many layers and looks at who you are to the degree where you start to say, this is connecting with this experience I've had. This is connecting with this thing. Oh, that explains why insight comes to me this way. Wow, this is actually reminding me of the reason why I'm having these dreams so intensely and why I know things before they happen, or why people are always walking up to me as if there is something I have for them and I don't have nothing for them. And I remember feeling like that in my own life. I remember feeling like, why do all of the people that society discards and ignores and downplays find a friend in me? And the reality is because I am a friend, of humanity. I am a friend of the people that are the underdog. I am a friend for sure of people who are looking for their way, and it's not their fault that they've lost it. They have simply been conditioned, and they are at least in the space of awareness to say, I don't want to take on more conditioning from more people without seeing something for myself. These are always the people I meet, and they're not misfits. These are the people of society that represent the collective that is not going for something that they can inherently feel and sense already is not true, it's not for them, and is not accurate. And this is why we present sidereal astrology. This is the reason why we want to look at the most accurate idea that we have about who it is that we are. Sure, we may discover in another, 20, 30 years that there's so much more than even what we're experiencing now, but that's why it's a journey. And this is just a stop on the journey that helps us to start having that awareness, intuition, insight, and all of those things into what's happening around us. And so the stars are really this beautiful map, this wonderful map that we can start to rely upon in a way that helps us to see the astral identity in its full glory. And if you don't know why the astral identity is important, just take a look around at what you've been fed. Take a look around at what conditions you have been trying to undo and unlearn for most of your life. Think about the things that people say about you that are not true and you don't have language for. You don't have the confidence to display or portray what you actually are about. You're sitting in a space of like, I know it's not what they're saying, but I don't know what it is. I don't have language for it. I can't describe it. I'm limited in trying to bring this consciousness that is in me forward. And I'm here to tell you that you weren't given a light just for you to turn on so you could read. I'm going to say that again. You were not given a light just for you to turn on so that you could read. As soon as you turn on that light, even if you are reading, it becomes a signal to everyone who understands the symbolism of what that light means and what there is to do about it, what there is to join with, what there still is in terms of possibility and purpose and direction. Every time you turn on that light, every time that light stays on, somebody else finds out that somebody's at home. Somebody is around. This is not a false flag. This light is on. It has been on, and it is reminding me of my own. The light in me greets the light in you. And I want your light to be bright. I want you to discover what it means to be all of the wonderful things you are, from sensuous to intellectual to sacredness to, beauty and truth and, knowledge and career and achievement and groups and relationships and money, all of these things that are part of this physical experience. We're not denouncing the physical experience. That's why we're here to experience this. But there's something else we're here for. There's a contribution that comes as part of the path of this physical experience. And without it, we just see ourselves as bright lights. Like, yep, I'm bright. I have the light. But what can be done with that? How bright does it get in your inner architecture without the knowledge of your identity beyond the physical? The physical is amazing. We have lots of ways that we enjoy the physical. We also have lots of ways that we feel limits when we look at ourselves as purely physical. But this is the integration and the layering and the stacking of who we are. And without that knowledge, without that richness, it becomes so much less influential and magnetizing because we are the ones holding it and containing it and trapping it and telling it that it doesn't have space. You tell me where in the cosmos there is no space. You tell me where in the astral is there a lack of space. We got things moving, orbiting, exploding, implode. There's so much that happens when we think of the cosmos, when we think of the astral. We think of the stars. We think of how much we can see, whether we're in this night sky or that night sky. When I am in my hometown, big city, The sky shows me a few bright lights, but it's not many. And then if I move out to the suburbs, closer to the countryside, it gets a little more bright. I see more stars, right? Especially when I used to go camping. I would see the sky was littered with stars. And I'm like, wow, I never see this, right? And scientifically you know that that's the truth, but when you realize it with your own eyes, you're like, wow, there's so much I'm missing. My perspective is not fully illuminated this way when I am at home. It's only when I find my home in other places that are not my first or stable or base place. It's when I stretch out and expand that I see other things. When I'm on the other side of the world, the sky is very different. Over there, I see things moving across the sky. I see unidentified objects in the sky. I see things that I don't see in my hometown or my home base. And that metaphor for me is about the astral identity. There's always space. There's always things you see, things you can't see. Moments of miracle, like, oh, wow, moments of fascination, and definitely moments where it's like, yep, I know I'm facing north because that's what I see when I'm facing north. Or I know that I'm in this place because that's what I see when I'm in this place. Or that's what I see at this time of year. And so our astral identity is multifaceted in this way. And it just makes sense to stop justifying the things that we were told in a wrong calculation or in a calculation that is not the most updated information we have available and keep saying that that's us. And instead of us doing that, why don't we start to move to adapt into this other calculation and identity or other calculations if you want to be more exploratory and start to look at that and see how it resonates and see if it makes sense. And this is very easy to do. In this time, this is very easy to do in this day and age. There are teachers, there are guides, there's technology, there is the ability to just walk outside and understand more because of the knowledge you've already gained. There are new findings, there's innovation. There are all of these ways. There's ancient records and drawings and tablets and tables and oh my goodness, there's so many different ways. It's culture and it's just richness across traditions. There's places to travel. There's so much to what I'm saying. This video won't hold it. There's so much to what I'm saying. But primarily what I'm saying to you is, when will you get to the place that you start to bridge your own understanding, your own relationships and experience, your own luminosity in your own life, and reflect what the stars indicated at the time of your birth? It's time. It's sidereal time. It's time. And this is not pressure. This is consciousness speaking, if you can still hear me. This is not pressure. This is simply moving towards another nudge that's saying, if something about this resonates, it's for you. And that's just it. Point blank, period. If it's something about it that resonates, it's for you. And so that is all I will say. We start a wonderful journey coming up very soon. It's called To the East, and we're going to do a sidereal astrology self study. You'll have the opportunity to look at your own chart. I will be preparing a special chart for you. We're going to move from the west to the east and start looking at your chart and slowly move around a curriculum that I created that I think is fabulous. It's the way that I study and work with astrology, and it will be there for you for 8 weeks. And you will be meeting live and discussing this and learning this and working with our collective. There's so many amazing people already registered. I love y'all. And please believe I'm working on your chart so that in your login credentials are coming. And I am just excited about this journey because these are a lot of people that I've never met and in person, right? And yet we are coming together on a soul journey together and doing some amazing work with each other for the benefit of us all. And, for me, that is important because in too many instances, we are working in solitude, working alone on the things that we think other people aren't ready for. And you all are ready, and I'm ready too. And so we're going to do this together. And it is a wonderful online journey, which means you can join from anywhere. And it is also, something I'm very passionate about, as you can probably tell. So I'm going to be working with you in the things that you feel and you sense and the things you need to know. And I would love if you were there with us. So I'll leave all the information down here below. I look forward to seeing you, and leave in the comments if anything said here today resonates with you or connects to a journey you've been on. All right. I look forward to seeing you all soon. To the east. Peace.